I'm very excited to talk all things Bronco. You can see Matt came prepared with his Team Bronco shirt.
Team Bronco.
I see that, man.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
GTGarageTalk.com. You can get one yourself.
Yeah.
Always sell. I like that. You know you're professionals when it's all you got to sell the gear. You got to sell the merch, man.
I should have worn my Team Wrangler shirt. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, not on Bronco night.
Hey, gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Corey.
And I'm Matt. And each week, this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need a bit more conversation.
And I would say we have some of all of that in this week's episode.
Most definitely.
So if you have been following along with us on YouTube and through Facebook and Instagram and all that, you know that we are wrapping up today with this podcast, Bronco Week, here at GT Garage Talk. It has been Bronco, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Friday. And we thank you for riding along with us because it has been an adventure. A lot of things have transpired when it comes to 2021 Ford Bronco.
Yes.
There have been delays upon delays. There have been manufacturing issues. There have been delays. And we found out just last week, as I was out at the off-rodeo event, that if you do not currently have a build date for your 21, it's going to be pushed to a 22 if you have a hardtop, because, man, those hardtops that they have sourced from a third party are just not cutting it, and they've decided that they're going to stop using what they were. They have a replacement in line. Everyone who already owns one is getting a new one. Anyone who has yet to receive their Bronco has to wait until the new one is placed on it. It's just been a giant mess.
Oh, yeah.
But good things are worth waiting for, right, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Ford's going to make good on bringing the rigs out and getting them to people, getting them in the hands of the consumer. It just sucks.
Yes, it does.
The whole thing just sucks.
But like I said, good things are worth waiting for. And I can attest now to you, our listeners, the gearheads. You know, Matt and I have this ongoing battle, Team Jeep, Team Bronco. Team Bronco has got a pretty sound competitor over in their corner. Twilight Zone, I know. So having actually experienced both and putting them through their paces and actually taking them off-road, I can say that the Bronco is a stout competitor.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes some concessions, but I do believe that those concessions, as was made evident by our friends over at Brake Check Show, will make the Bronco, quote-unquote, newbie-proof.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things built into it that just help the beginner hop in and go. So, to that end, we do have some additional content for you today on this podcast. We started off Bronco Week with a conversation with All Terrain Nation, David Boyd, and we'll put a little bit of our conversation in with him right here. One thing I will say in the whole Bronco Wrangler battle is going back to build and price and just the insanity that is the Jeep build and price. I've been on both, especially since driving the Bronco and getting to experience it myself. And I'm one that in either instance, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get the one I want. I'm a techie. I want to get all the technology goodies on it. I want to get all the off-road goodies on it. So I'm pretty much maxing one out in one way, shape, or form or another. And so my quote-unquote dream Bronco is a four-door, again, for my family situation, a four-door Badlands with Sasquatch, 58,555. And then you go over to Jeep's build and price, and, you know, they've launched that Rubicon Extreme package with the 35-inch tall tires to combat the Sasquatch, 67,625. So there is a lot to be said about the price difference between the two as well. So I really do see a lot of people kind of scratching their head and going, Jeep's been around a while. It's got that pedigree, but I could get in the door for a pretty awesome Bronco for way less than I can in a Rubicon. Or, maybe people just aren't as Rubicon crazy as I am, and they'll, build a sport exactly how they want it.
Hey, I'm happy that Ford allowed for the front locker to be by itself without having to do the rear locker and all that. And I think they will change some of that with the Rubicon too. But like you said, competition's great. There's no way around it. Like Jeep had to react real quick. The 392 was proof of that. People have been asking for that for years. Like, how many people convert? We're throwing LS engines into these things, and then putting the Hellcats and stuff. They had to react, and then like with the 35s, they had to react, and finally, I don't know why Jeep's taken their audience for granted as much as they have till the Bronco came. Of just like, well, they'll buy them.
Yeah.
Every year, the prices for one of these things on either one of them's just outrageous. Honestly, for what you're getting on either of them, they're way overpriced.
Yeah.
For a basic transportation, it's crazy.
Go
but
buy a Defender.
The name of the game is hype. Yeah, it's all about hype. Now, where do you guys stand with the actual modularity of the Bronco versus what Wrangler does? I think it was pretty smart for Ford to be able to take all the fenders off, replace them easily. They do realize, there's going to be trail damage, and people might want to quickly put new fenders on.
Absolutely. Super, super smart move for Ford. And coming out the night that they announced the Bronco with all of the Ford-backed accessories to go along with it, that some of the first Broncos going out are going to have to be to the aftermarket guys, because aftermarket is where Jeep makes their money. Not Jeep specifically, but that's the beauty of having a Wrangler is if you don't like something about it,
change it.
Somebody's going to sell something that'll change it,
Yep.
So I think it's super smart for them to be able to do that.
Oh, definitely. The one thing I don't like the fenders, the plastic sticking out fenders. I think that's just kind of
Yeah. They are so easy to take off, though, that it is not even a problem. Just by hand, you can take them off. So I do think that is incredibly awesome that you can take the over fenders off with no tools. You can take the actual fenders off. Yes, the modularity is pretty awesome. I also like how easy, quote unquote, how easy the hardtop is, in that you've got essentially the two panels up front like Jeep does, but then you've got a third panel over the rear, so you can open it up for all passengers without taking the whole thing off, and then you can take that rear clamshell part off without. I'm sure it's still a two-person job, but it's probably a whole lot less awkward.
And nothing's more awkward than a Gladiator. I can tell you that. Trying to top off one of those things.
Yeah, I can tell you, my brother had a JK Wrangler, and I can't tell you how many times I helped him take the top on and off of that thing and making sure it was lined up just right. So when I get my Wrangler, I'm going to have a garage-mounted lift system that I just back in, hook it up, lift it, and go.
Yeah. I was reading something today on one of the forums where somebody was like, they'd come up with a way to do that. And then people are like, what's this? Wrangler's been doing that forever, guys. Like, you didn't invent the wheel here. Like, just come along. Just come along for the ride. Because, the Wrangler lifts the clamps and everything have to work with this thing. It can't be, it's just a strap.
Yeah.
So when you guys get yours to review, kind of where do you start with your reviews? What do you look for? What are you excited by? I mean, I know you've gotten to do the off-roading a little bit, but is there something that you're like, this is where I really, nobody's testing this and I want to see this thing do this?
I'm gonna tow with it first.
Yeah.
I've got a jet ski that's a little over 1,000 pounds with the trailer. I plan on hooking it up and running it down the road. I'm just now starting to see, as a few people have theirs, I'm starting to see some people towing. I think I saw a picture yesterday or today of somebody with a pop-up camper behind theirs. So that'll be one of the things that I do right out of the gate. And on road, as funny as it sounds, on road driving impressions.
Yeah.
I want to know how it rides, how it acts, how much wind noise there is, because yeah, we can take them to the rodeo, we can beat them up in the dirt, but as we've mentioned a handful of times already, 80 to 90% of these rigs are going to see 80 to 90% of their life on pavement.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how well it fits. I've got a 2-car garage, but it's 2 independent doors with a brick pole in between the 2 of them. So, how does it fit in a normal life? How can we incorporate the Bronco lifestyle into our life and where we are? What sacrifices have to be made? What changes have to be made? How easy is it to park the daggum thing at the mall? Because driving it on the trail, it is big, it is wide, it is a square block that cannot be denied. And so it'll be really interesting, yes, to see how it does on road, because to this end, let's see, I've ridden in one on the Chicago Auto Show test track. I've driven one on a purpose-built off-road course. We're going to undoubtedly take it to Barnwell to put it through its paces in a free environment. But yes, we definitely want to see how it behaves on road for those who are going to be living with it. And for my 5-foot wife, how easy is it to get in and out of?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and they were smart. They were smart to add rock rails, but they could have stepped those up slightly with some sort of step on them. I mean, I know what rock rails are for. Those will be very functional, but at the same point, there's been so many aftermarket companies put kickouts on them or just little bumps for them, so you can use it as a step. I think that's one area they could have done Jeep. They could have outdone Jeep just a little bit, but I get it. It's about cost. It's about they're already. You don't want these things dinged up. I've worked in plants. I know what it's like. You're going to tear it up no matter what. So the smaller the part, the better for them. I'm interested to see if you get it in your garage because you got that big spare tire sitting back there too.
So being that I've been building and pricing Jeeps for a very long time, I've figured out just how tight and how to fit a Wrangler in my current parking spot. So it would be very interesting to see if and how and where and what all I have to do to get it to fit in my garage. It'll be fun because you had to climb a 15-degree incline and hang a hard right to get into my garage. And then you had to thread the needle between the openings. So it will be an adventure. I'll have to use that trail turn assist just to get in the driveway.
Right. I was going to say that when you were talking about taking it to the mall, you might as well just do it there at the mall.
Oh, my goodness. So we called that the giggle button as we were out on the trails, and it very much was. I enjoyed using it more than I should have because I kind of rolled my eyes. I got the 2-door because it was going to be more maneuverable on the trails as it was, but it was so much fun to hit that and then hit a very sharp left or right turn.
There was somebody drifting with it already. They got their Bronco. They had it out in the parking lot, kicking that in, I was like, oh, you're going to ruin the rear end of that thing, man. That's not what it is intended for.
Yeah.
But you do have to get into the throttle with that, right? It's not like you don't just creep with it.
Right. So you're basically trying to compensate for the fact that you've got one rear tire completely locked up. So yes, you have to crank hard on the steering wheel as far as you can, and you got to give it some throttle to actually make it move. And you hear the ABS acting up because that's what's making it work. So anyone who's lucky enough to have never experienced ABS working is going to freak out. Well, what's wrong with my Bronco? But that's how it should work.
Well, I know you guys had some questions you wanted to ask. I'm going to turn the show over to you guys now. And if you see, I know you're probably having a hard time seeing the comments, but if there's something you guys want to talk about, feel free to.
You sure,
guys, in the comments, if you have something you want to ask them about, feel free, and we'll try to get the questions in here.
Yeah, are you really sure you want to turn it over to us? Like, it's risky business sometimes.
Hey, you guys, you got all 4,000 of my subs, man. So you guys are gonna be here before you know it. So go have at them.
Awesome.
All right, Matt, introduce the segment.
What we typically do in an interview is we have kind of an interview within an interview, and it's called Random Misfire, and it's 8 just kind of either or, yes or no, back and forth kind of questions to give us a chance to find out a little more about you in its own little miniature interview of sorts. So Corey and I will go back and forth. There's
Say it.
I have to say it, don't I?
Yes, you do.
There's 8 questions because every engine should come with 8 cylinders.
Which you can get in a Wrangler.
I know. I'm on Bronco Talk, and I'm talking about 8 cylinders. And everybody keeps waiting for the 8-cylinder Bronco. But
you get 6 cylinders plus 2 turbos. So that's 8, right?
There's the 8 right there.
Justify it however you must. Anyway, so yes, there are 8 questions. We'll go back and forth, 4 from each of us. They're fun, yes or no, either or, and yeah, just get to know you kind of questions. Matt, do you want to start us off?
I'll start us off, and I'm going to start us off on a very low note. You have to choose one or the other: a vehicle with a CVT or an EV.
That's
I'm going EV on that one.
Going EV?
EV all day long.
Yeah.
Only because I've been a Nissan guy, so I know the shortcomings of CVTs already. But electric vehicles, instant torque and power. You know, I mean, I'm not a big EV guy, but if I had to choose, definitely EV.
All right. So we've done a lot of Bronco versus Wrangler here, but what about TRX or Raptor? What camp you in?
Oh man, this eats at my soul a little bit because horsepower. You love horsepower, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But the TRX is not a complete desert runner. You know, it's a street runner more really than it's something off road ish. But unless you're that guy up in Pennsylvania that thought you should jump a creek with it and just destroy one, which my heart.
Yeah, I don't like.
I'm probably going to go TRX on that one, only because that's one thing Dodge and Ram just know. They know you just shove the biggest V8 you can shove into something, and people will buy it. And right now, the Raptor is great, but it just sounds horrible.
It is, yes.
So I'm seeing TRX, Raptor, TRX. Yeah, so we're pretty split in the comments as well.
Raptor. CVT sucks. There you go. All right. Let's see. I had one picked out. All right. So in the vehicle with probably the largest aftermarket segment on the planet, and we're talking Broncos and Wranglers now because I do believe that Broncos will quickly catch up to the Wrangler in the aftermarket. Would you rather build it or buy it?
Oh, man. Once again, this is a tough one. These are tougher than I thought they were going to be. Well, let's see. So I'm 47 years old, so I've built quite a few vehicles of my own. But at some point, your wallet starts to grow.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I can just have this.
Right.
But with
a warranty.
Yes, with a warranty. But you also go back and go, part of the fun of an off-road vehicle is the build, right?
Absolutely.
Why did I used to build RC cars. Why did I never raced them. The fun was putting them together. So I'm going to have to say build.
Yes. All right. Good answer. That's a good answer.
All right. Matt normally asks this one, but I'm stealing it from him on this one. We talked about the cameras. We talked about some of the electronic goodies that Ford has put in the Bronco. But are you team more technology in vehicles or less technology in vehicles?
If we're talking cars, definitely more. I think just daily use. I think Tesla, they know they were years ahead of everybody. Hey, let's make these cars almost drive themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm an off-road guy at heart, and like the idea, I like a manual transfer case. That's one thing I love about the Jeep is you know when it engages, you know it works.
You got to manhandle it too.
Yeah, but then you're like, oh man, those goat modes, you just twist a knob. I'm gonna have to go manual transmission. I'm the old school guy. Less is more for me.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Along the same lines, manual or automatic?
Ooh, let's see. I'm gonna say automatic real quick, but here's my reasoning why.
Okay.
I had a 1989 Jeep YJ.
Okay.
Carbureted. Just they didn't come right from the factory. Horrible. They wouldn't run. And I took this thing off-roading, And a lot of my audience knows I'm by trade a land surveyor, so I kind of professionally off-road for a living. And I've always had manual transmissions for that. But I took that Jeep and I spent a day off-roading it, doing rock crawling and stuff. And at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? I want an automatic transmission because I'm out here to enjoy this. I'm not looking for an exercise routine. My leg was worn out. My arms were worn out. It's like, you know what? I'm done. I want autos.
Yeah, I took my 2012 Camaro SS to a NASCAR race at Texas Motor Speedway and 6-speed manual. And by the time I got 2 miles away from the event, which was an hour later, my left leg was dead. I was over it. I said, never again am I driving to a race at Texas Motor Speedway.
I bought a 94 Firebird, and it was the V6 with the manual transmission. And the only reason I got the manual in it is because I knew it was already a V6, and 90 V6s are not what they are now. Like, they were dogs.
Right.
And I knew it would be a dog, so I was like, well, the manual will help a little bit with that. But then I went to East Tennessee, and anybody that knows Tennessee, there's a place called Pigeon Forge. It's a tourist trap. It's horrible. It's nothing but red lights. And yeah, kind of like you, after about 2 hours in traffic, I was like, no more.
All right, so sticking with the transmission side of things, this is a brand new question that we've never asked before. You've driven trucks, you've driven all kinds of things. Are you a column shift person? So think Chevy GMC. Ooh. Or are you anything else like the dial or the floor mounted shifter? Or what is your gear selection preference in that automatic that you're buying?
Well, let's for one get the dial out of the way. That was the worst decision Ram could have ever made. That was just dumb.
Yeah, that is my only knock on anything Ram right now is
Yeah, but let's see. So I've been a Nissan guy. So the first gen Titan had a in dash or not in dash.
The console shift. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the floor. So I liked that, but then the Gen 2 threw it up into the column because that's what Ford and everybody did. And now all the competition's like, no, let's put it back down where the Titan had it. I'm like, I don't know. I will say this. It's nice to lay your hand on that when it's sitting there versus a column, but I could go either way on that. I don't know. I've never thought like, which do I like more?
Just no dial, right?
No dial at all.
All right, Matt, last question for you.
All right, yeah. Last question for me, and I'm gonna throw you a softball question. Favorite car movie?
We always got to add to our list.
What are some that have came out before I answer? What are some of the popular choices?
Bullet, Gone in 60 Seconds, Baby Driver, anything Fast and Furious.
Not anything.
Oh no. Baby Driver, great car. That early part of that movie, great car movie. Yeah. I'm going 80s here.
Okay.
When I was a little kid, Chrysler came out with a prototype car. This car was in a movie called The Wraith, and I forget what Dodge at the time titled this thing, but it was this prototype car. It was a Charlie Sheen movie. The guy was reincarnated as this car. Just a horrible movie. But for some reason, when I seen this car as a little kid, I was just like mesmerized. I don't know what even the story was. I was just mesmerized by the car. It's either that or Knight Rider. Okay. I loved Knight Rider as a kid.
Okay.
I'm loving some of the comments. Ford versus Ferrari, Herbie the Love Bug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gone in 60 Seconds. That's fantastic. Christine, that's kind of along the same lines.
All right, so I'm going to finish this out here. I used to claim that there was a right and wrong answer, but I'm conceding that there is not.
Okay.
It goes along with some of your car movies that you just listed. Do you name your cars?
Of course.
All right.
What red-blooded American would never name their vehicles? I mean,
exactly.
Because there's a personality associated with each one, and you kind of have to do that. But I will say this. I have a thing in my household where I always name my cars or trucks after TV shows I'm watching.
Okay.
So there's usually a character or something.
Yep.
So in 2005, I had a Honda Element, which I still think is one of the best little vehicles ever made. I will go down fighting about that was a great vehicle.
Was it automatic or manual?
Oh no, it was the auto. So yeah, it wasn't great.
Okay.
But it was 24 miles a gallon. I didn't care.
Yeah.
So I named that vehicle JD. Can you tell me why JD?
Scrubs.
And think mid-90s TV shows.
Was it Scrubs?
It was Scrubs. You got it, man.
Yes. I am JD. So, yes.
And then I had a white Xterra that I called after that. I called Turk.
Okay.
And
Nice.
I've known through forums about that Xterra called Turk. And I will still get people email me, go, how's Turk? And I'm like, dude, I lost that vehicle like a long time ago. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, I went through a movie star phase. I had a vehicle named Scarlett. I had Angelina. Let's see.
Yeah.
My truck was Sarah Joe. That was just because she needed to have two names and be kind of country. So Sarah Joe.
You're in Texas.
You're right.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah, I've named all of my personal vehicles. My wife's Jeep is the only vehicle that I have quote unquote owned or had in my possession or drive daily that has not gotten a name, and we just can't agree.
So my wife had a 2009 Xterra, and I had a 2000 Xterra at the same time. One was a rock crawler, just never going to see the road, and the other was her daily. And I named them Stan and Francine. Can you tell me why they're called Stan and Francine? This is I'm gonna cheat a little bit. It's off of a cartoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's outside of my realm of.
I feel like I should know it, but nothing's.
There's a cartoon called American Dad, and the dad had a black Ford Explorer, and the mom, I don't know what she drove, but for whatever reason, me and my wife just loved that show, and I was like, well, that's Stan and Francine now. So our cars were married of sorts.
Nice.
Yeah, I never ventured off into American Dad. I stayed with Family Guy when I was in the Seth MacFarlane realm. So
Corey, you know what I drive? My Snazzleberry Gladiator.
Yes. Which that name?
Any guesses? Any guesses what the name of that one is?
Oh gosh, what shows are popular right now?
I will say this one can be a TV show or a movie. This one I did stretch it a little bit.
Oh boy,
Ooh.
Snazzleberry.
It's red with black. You know.
Is it going to be a Game of Thrones reference or like?
No, not the Red Wedding.
Yeah, I haven't.
It is a Jeep though, so I have to worry if it's going to die like that. So.
Okay. I'm going to have to bow out on this one because I'm not going to lie. We cut cable a long time ago, and we don't even have Netflix. We're Disney Plus, and we're watching a bunch of animated stuff with a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm out of touch with pop culture all of a sudden.
Well, there's a movie called Deadpool.
Okay. Okay.
But I didn't call it Deadpool. I called it Wade because his normal personality is Wade Wilson. So I was like, I'll call that one Wade.
Nice. I like it.
Yep.
But I feel like I've taken all your questions and just way too long.
No, that's awesome.
That is exactly what we want to happen with this because we want to get to know everybody that we sit down and have a conversation with. So we're incredibly
You guys
grateful.
in the comments, what do you name your vehicles? I'm curious if your vehicles have names.
Yeah, I've been peeping at a few. My Ford Escape named Cartman. Is that a South Park reference there?
Yeah.
We've had, like, when we first launched our channel, we put that question out to our Facebook fans, and we had the PT Cruiser named Tom. We had, that was over a year ago. I'm trying to remember so many of them, but yeah, Tom Cruiser was the one that stuck in my head above all else. My current car is a 2013 Chevy Cruze, and for Texas Rangers fans or Mariners fans, or I don't even know where he is nowadays, but I named my car Nelly, so it's Nelly Cruz for the boomstick.
Nelly Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
nice.
I've had Cameron the Camaro, and yeah, I've had a good run.
But you got to name your vehicles, right?
That's the way I see it. I just can't not. And it kills me that the Jeep is just the Jeep for us.
Just the Jeep.
I have to confess, I don't mind naming rigs at all, but I struggle with names on any of my vehicles. My 71 Super Beetle ended up painting it bright orange. That was Tallulah. And my wife, her car was an '05 Camry. It was also Tallulah. Both of those vehicles were named before we had met each other, so that was kind of ironic. But
nice.
I'm loving the taco called Coma.
Yes.
In the comments. So yeah, you see so many of them shed off and just have taco on the back, but yeah, Coma. Very nice. Yes.
What are some of the worst names you've seen, like, for Jeeps, Corey? Because you're a Jeep guy. There's some just horrible names. Like, because now Jeep guy likes putting it on the side of their hood,
right?
Which I'm guilty. I put my brand on the side of my hood. But I've seen some ridiculous names on these things.
I don't want to incriminate myself in the 903 group that I'm in and put anybody on blast, but I kind of roll my eyes at some. I know the Silver Fox is one of them, and I know the owner quite well, and I'm just like, bruh. I'm like, no. It's just, no. Plus, I hate silver on vehicles anyway, so it's just... Yeah.
Well, for Bronco, it has to be the juice. I see that more than anything. Everybody wants a white Bronco and call it OJ or something like that. I'm like, they all think it's original, and maybe to them it probably was original. But I see that, and I'm just like, come on, guys, let's be more creative than that.
No, I would get an orange one and name it the Juice or Juice.
Yeah. So even before our show started, my buddy who we ordered, he was a day one reservation, and I was day 3. I told him a few months ago, I was like, hey, man, if you get that hard top off your vehicle, the order will go through. I guarantee you. And like a week and a half later, his order was picked up on this. But I wanted to say, that's why I was late talking to you guys, was he was calling me. He just picked it up at the dealership.
Oh, nice.
I'd gotten a picture. I know people at the plant, and I got a picture of this thing being built and sent it to him, and he was freaking out about it. So, but now he's rubbing it in my face of like, oh, I've got mine. Where's yours at? I'm like, oh, you're killing me here, man.
While I was at the Ford Bronco event, I was actually able to pull aside the lead trail instructor, Corey Rice, from the Texas.
You picked him out because his name was Corey, didn't you?
Well, he spells his name wrong. We each gave each other a hard time about how we spell our names. But he was the lead trail instructor, and I was able to sit down with him, pick his brain just a little bit about what it means to go to a Ford Bronco off-rodeo event, what it's like, and there are actually 4 of those across the nation. Texas is one of the first, if not the first, to open. And so, yeah, we talked to him a little bit. We've got a video out on YouTube, but I will put just his interview right here for you to listen to. Sitting here with Corey Rice of Bronco Off-Rodeo. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, glad to have you. So, it was awesome having you out here today.
It was awesome being out here today.
Good.
And to just truly put these Broncos through the paces, it was a blast of an event. So I have to ask, we're all journalists. This was a media event, but is this open to the public?
So right now we are open to our Bronco owners. So anybody that has an order for a Bronco or that can confirm VIN for a Bronco, we are open for them. They just go to that Bronco Off-Rodeo website, fill out the paperwork, pick a date, and come out and have fun with us in those Broncos.
So will they be in a fleet vehicle like we were driving today, or would it be their own?
Absolutely. So it's going to be a Bronco that we provide for them.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So I know for us it was kind of first come, first serve, free for all as we were running out to the Broncos. Similar issue, or would you be able
Absolutely.
to? Absolutely.
We try and help our guests get the Bronco that's as close to theirs as that they've ordered, but we can't just meet every single order that they've got. So, and we get to change through the Broncos. So maybe the morning you start out on one that's not exactly what you wanted or what you've ordered. Look around that afternoon when we change up those Broncos after a nice lunch. You can jump in another one and try a different one out then. Awesome. Maybe a 2-door, maybe an automatic, maybe that manual, whatever it changes are up through there. So
awesome. So there are plans to open this up to the public.
That is my understanding, absolutely. So right now I don't know exactly when that time frame is going to be, but we are going to do that. Right now we're just focusing on all of our customers that have been waiting on their Broncos. We want to give them a chance to get out here, drive those Broncos around that we have so that they can just keep that reassurance that I promise you those Broncos are coming.
Yeah, I've got a friend with one on order that's been bumped back a couple of times. So getting to experience an event like this will kind of help satiate that that longing that
Absolutely.
he has for his.
Yeah.
So you don't have to tell any stories, but we are media. We do have experience going through events like this. I'm sure you've accumulated some fun stories from your time doing this. How long have you been here?
So here we started about 4 months ago with a dealer program. So we did that first. First 2 months was all the dealers that Ford wanted to send or was willing to come to the event. They got a nice little snippet of what we were going to do so that they could go back and talk to their customers and say, hey, you've got to get out to the Bronco Off-Rodeo. And then for about the last 7-8 weeks now, we've been doing the customer side. So customers have been coming through, and it's just a delight. I love watching people come out here and climb up some of these hills and do some of this terrain that we have that they just never thought they would do in 100 years. And they're out here in a brand new Bronco getting to experience all that.
So we were in the Bronco proper, as I like to call it.
Absolutely.
But we did notice quite a few Bronco Sports out here, and this is open to Bronco Sport.
Absolutely. So Bronco Sport Badlands and First Edition owners, again, they can come out, spend the day with us in that Bronco Sport. We've got the course set up for that also so that we can take those out, learn how to use that Bronco Sport, how to use that four-wheel drive system in those with those GOAT modes and that locking rear differential that's available in the Bronco Sport also.
Maybe a few different lines through the trails
Possibly.
today.
A little difference in ground clearance between that Bronco Sport and that Bronco, which, as you know, we talked about that approach angle, breakover, departure. All that's going to change in the vehicle that we're driving there for sure.
Awesome. So what can you tell me about, this is one of 5 facilities across the nation.
Actually 4 facilities.
4?
Yep.
Okay.
So here in Texas, so outside of Austin and Horseshoe Bay area. Then we have one in New Hampshire, Gunstock, New Hampshire. Las Vegas, Nevada, and then Moab, Utah. So all of them are a little bit different terrain, but we're still teaching a lot of the same techniques. That's what we like to talk about here a lot is techniques and then technology. We want to teach you that proper driving technique, and then we use that technology that the Bronco offers us just to make it so much easier and so much more fun while we're out there.
So I mentioned that a few times driving around, and I know in the comments of previous Bronco videos we've dropped that people are talking about this is opening up inexperienced drivers to get out in the trail. So we highly recommend taking Ford up on coming out to the off-rodeo and learning exactly what you need and using that technology as a enhancement to the experience, not a crutch.
Absolutely. The last thing I want you to do is drive up to an obstacle and just turn on every button on the Bronco. Because then what happens when you get to there and you still can't keep moving forward because something happens. So we want to start and build. Just like when we're teaching, we start slow, start simple and build up, just like when we're driving off-road. Start knowing that technique, use the proper technique, then if that doesn't work for us, then we can add in that technology to help us through there.
So last question, buyers of a Bronco, do they need to select the off-rodeo closest to them, or can they choose any?
That is their choice. They are allowed to do any of the 4 locations. I will say the only thing I know, New Hampshire is not a 4-season site. All the other sites are 4 seasons, so anytime you want to do it. But again, when you go on that Bronco Off-Rodeo website, it will show those dates that are available and when you can go and choose that. But you're free to choose any of those 4 sites, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Corey. It's been a blast.
Let me add one thing. Okay. I'm sorry. So Bronco Sport will only be in Texas, though.
Okay.
That is one thing I do want to be clear on. So.
Okay.
But the rest of them are full size or the big Broncos. A lot of people like to call it, are available at any of those sites.
Thank you so much.
You're
Corey.
welcome, Corey. It's great to meet you.
Great to meet you. All right, Matt. So we've talked Bronco, you and I.
Right.
We've investigated just a little bit with the off-rodeo with Corey Rice from the Texas off-rodeo location. And then we had a live chat earlier this week that we stole a little bit from with David Boyd over at All Terrain Nation. And gosh, how long did we talk to him? For over an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And could have easily gone into the night, except I'm looking out the windows at how dark it is here. And I know my 3-year-old is 2 rooms over asleep, and you've got kiddos to get home to as well.
Oh, yeah.
What are some final thoughts on Bronco for you as we wrap up Bronco week?
Probably the big thing that stuck out to me, at least from our discussion with David, was the fit and finish issues. You know, those little things that are going to plague the Bronco probably for the next 2 years or so.
Right.
The hard top being the big, hot button item at the moment. And for me, again, I said it in that interview, but I'll say it again. Refinement is Ford's forte. I mean, they do that very, very well. And if those are going to be the shortcomings for the first year model, I would much rather those be the shortcomings than something significantly wrong with the engine or transmission.
And see, to David's point, I was a kid in candy store, and I had blinders on. Like I was on cloud nine, even as a Jeep guy, to be able to off-road this very desirable brand new rig and pilot it. That I didn't notice any of that. But when you get that long-term test vehicle like we're shooting at, or when Brandon gets his that he's placed an order on, it's those things that will creep up through ownership, through driving them day in and day out. And it's not something we test in a one-day off-road event. So it will be very interesting to see if and when we get a tester of our own, or just having Brandon on to talk about not only his ownership experience, but his experience getting to being an owner, because he's switched dealers. He placed his initial order with a local dealer. Things did not work out there. And he sent me a video. There are weekly recaps that he is getting from his new dealer that are just top notch, like all the ins and outs of what's going on, this hard top recall that's going on. He thoroughly explained it in his video that he emailed out to all his reservation holders. So very thorough. We're looking forward to getting to talk to not only Brandon, but Mike from 5 Star Ford as Brandon takes his delivery. So if you are not subscribed on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GT Garage Talk, you will see us as Brandon takes delivery of his. You will see us and Brandon go out to Barnwell and, see what it is capable of. His is an Outer Banks non-Sasquatch, not Outer Banks. Why did I say that? His is a Black Diamond non-Sasquatch. So it'll be interesting to see what it's capable of. I'm sure we will not, just like the TRD that you and I drove, we will not find the limits. We will find our limits.
Right.
So looking forward to that. But Bronco Week has been fun. It only saddens me that the stomach bug hit your family, keeping you from enjoying it with me, because the irony is, of the two of us, you needed to be there more than me. But the fact that I can say with confidence that I am moving along the slider of the spectrum that is Team Bronco / Team Wrangler, that it's a very capable rig, and I'm very excited to see more and more of them on the road, see how Jeep responds above and beyond the Rubicon Extreme, above and beyond the 392, above and beyond the 4xe. It is going to be a fun and wild ride, and I am here for it all day, every day.
Yeah, most definitely. So are you quite to that down the middle point yet, or are you still Jeep side?
I've been on the build and price tool, so if that tells you anything, I have figured out which one I would purchase.
Right.
No telling when it would get here, but yes. And if they offer a neon green in the 2022s, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, man.
So the biggest difference, based on what you and I talked about before we started recording, is $12,000.
Yeah.
And a ginormous question mark on when it would be in your driveway.
Yep. So that $12,000 price difference is insurance that you would actually get it. So pay $12,000 more, get a very capable Wrangler that maybe has all those refinement issues like David was talking about on our live stream with him, that Ford isn't quite there yet, because they were hitting the high points.
Oh, sure.
They clearly had a checklist of things they wanted to accomplish, and they did them and have them there in spades. And now they're, like you said, they're going to come back, and probably in the intervening years, there's going to be continual improvements to future model Broncos. But there's something to be said about, especially now having a 2021, in mint condition 10 years from now, whew, you think 40 grand markup to get it off the dealer lot is bad now.
Yeah.
Just imagine what a mint condition 21 is going to go for in 31.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And it won't matter if it's a Outer Banks or a first edition or a base Sasquatch,
right,
because they're just going to be nuts all across the board.
Well, that does it for us and for Bronco Week. If you haven't checked out the content, go hit up our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GT Garage Talk. Go find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at GT Garage Talk, and our website, gtgaragetalk.com. Until next time, bye.